a second.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Wisdom Wednesday. Excited to be back. Last week, I was hoping to have had a panel discussion and didn't quite happen, but I'm hoping we'll be able to do that in the future. Today, I'm excited to have a conversation with my new friend, Jenny, who is an intuitive astrologer. I've known her a little bit on the North Node journeys and actually been watching her posts on her personal page, and I've been learning from her and the astrology that she's learning. So I just felt like, let's have a conversation and, let's share our wisdom together and talk about some of the different things that are going on. This 2025 is going to be crazy. I think like we're going to have a lot of things going on. So Jenny, I'm excited to be able to talk to you today. So thank you for joining me. And I'm going to give you the floor if you want to just give a little bit of background about like yourself and like how did you get into astrology? What brought you here?
Okay. Well, I getting interested in astrology probably the beginning of last year.
Okay.
And I started watching multiple YouTube people, and it really piqued my interest, and I really wanted to take workshops. So I I said, okay, guides, if I'm supposed to do this, then show me. And I left it at that. So I was able to, well, or I had been watching something on YouTube, and I went and took their class. The class had gone down in price. It was a Christmas special.
Okay.
So I got the class for 50% off. And then I had gotten a Christmas bonus. So I was able to pay for it. So basically, I had 2 signs, so there was no going back.
Gotcha. Cool. What was the class about?
It was actually not a class, I should say, a workshop. And it was, it was called the Foundations of Astrology. However, it was very detailed, great instructors. And I've got it forever. So I like to go back through it over and over because, as you know, when we go over things, hear things differently as we're ready to hear them. So,
Right. Well, and this is like a part of your world, right? This is part of your professional world, and someday you want this to just be your professional world. So it makes sense, like to go deep into it. So that's exciting. So today I thought it's fitting to kind of talk about like where things are at. Pluto is gone out of Capricorn, which is a super big deal. I mean, I think you and I are newer to all of this. So like a couple years ago, like it wouldn't even have like registered for us. But now it's like, yeah, we understand it's a big deal. Now Pluto's in Aquarius. We're into this age of Aquarius. And there's all these big shifts and the planets are changing. And so many more people are interested in astrology and like want to know more. And it's quite complex. There's a lot to it and a lot of changes. So I thought we could, talk about what's going on in the world and like it's almost 2025, it's like we're almost there. We're rounding out this year. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about, just like what you see like ahead in 2025 for us. And I know we were talking about like Pluto and Saturn and, some of the outer planets. So yeah, like what's interesting to you? Like, as you've been like hearing things, what kind of struck you?
Well, for me, I've been extremely fortunate that it's not normal astrology. This has not been normal astrology because there's so many planets shifting, and with the outer planets, it affects all of us, collective. So with Pluto, you've got, the planet of power, and where Pluto goes, the power flows,
right. Yeah, I gotcha.
Also the planet of transformation, and happens to be one of my chart rulers since my Scorpio rising. So it has a huge impact on me. And then you've got Uranus, however you say it, going to be moving, another outer planet, and is also the ruler of Aquarius, where Pluto just moved into. And with that, you also have Neptune that's moving, and Saturn just went direct, and it's also moving. So these planets, when they move, they all have their own, and I'm don't know how much your crowd knows about as far as the planet energy.
Well, you can enlighten, because we have people in the group of like all different levels. Some people are super advanced and have been doing astrology forever, and some
Okay.
people just know their sun sign. So, and everybody in between. So yeah, whatever you want to share is great.
Okay. All right. So, well, with Pluto, we've got the planet of power and, transformation. Wherever Pluto is in your chart is where you're going to transform the most. So, if you've got Pluto or you have Scorpio in, say, your seventh house, your relationships are where you're going to transform the most. So, we've got Pluto moving into Aquarius out of Capricorn, and in Capricorn, it's more of like the authority figure, the top down structure. And when Pluto moves into a new sign, the sign that it's in, it basically destructs, it dies, and then it rebirths in a new sign. So with it moving into Aquarius, we're going to see Aquarius themes, which is humanitarianism. It's no longer the top structures; it's more of a
We work,
equality.
right.
More
We work together. Right. Exactly. Right.
so. It's also technology. So we're going to see different new innovative technologies since it's also in. Um, I'm trying to think of everything.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because like AI, I think is going to be really big on the scene, and like just even things with like money, like cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all those things.
Right.
Like it's going to really revolutionize how we do everything, because Aquarius isn't afraid to be different. Aquarius isn't afraid to break the rules, and we now have Pluto, the powerful. Pluto's my favorite planet, and I'm Pluto first house, so like it really like it resonates a lot for me too. So it's like we're going to be changing, right? It's going to be this whole power dynamic, and it's a Capricorn. It was like very much like kind of like that CEO energy, and just like one person in control, and this is how things have been and they're not going to change. Whereas Aquarius, like total opposite energy, like no, that isn't working, we're going to break it up, it's going to be totally different. So I think that's the energy that we need, because there's been a lot of things that need to change in our whole earth. Like things are going to be different. So yeah, I think it's exciting. I think you're right, just watching like all the planets you're talking about too, because they're like the outer planets, and sometimes people only focus on their big three, and they don't realize the rest of their chart and like the impact it's going to have. And Pluto is like a really powerful planet, and it does impact us, and people don't really realize that, and same with like Saturn too, with the karmic contract. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because Pluto always hits me on my chart, and it's like I pay attention, where's Pluto, first house, and where is it transiting for me, and where do I need to focus for the next 2 decades.
Right. Well, and moving into Aquarius, it is ruled by Uranus, which is the great awakener. So that is why a lot of people are, I don't want to say awaken, that's been used so much, but just more conscious, living more consciously.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what awakening is living more consciously. So it's less of the treadmill of life, but I would say we're paying attention to what we're doing, we're paying attention to what we're saying. Boundaries is,
I was just going to say boundaries. Yep.
That's where we came out of. We came out of Capricorn, and Capricorn are very good with their boundaries. So, I mean, every planet, every sign, every house has their, I guess, negative sides, but they also have the positive side. The more challenging, you have, beautiful gifts by challenge as well. So,
Right. It's a high vibration. It's how are you going to use it, right? How do you use all the good things that Aquarius is going to offer, and all that. So yeah, it's so true.
So we will see a lot of probably innovative ways of doing things. Our Aquarius kids I think there's a lot of Gen Xers that have a lot of Aquarius art. So I mean, and Aquarius is the sign that can see into the future. They're forward thinking. They're able to detach from their emotion. It does have a bad rap because they can be so detached from their emotions.
Right.
But they look at the picture from a bigger angle for humanitarianism. It's not about them, it's more about what's good for everybody.
Right. How we should always be thinking. I feel like I love the Aquarius energy. Like I have a couple planets in my 11th house, and I feel like that kind of gives me some of that Aquarius, because I feel like I don't want to just know something for myself. I want to know something so I can impart it to others. And how is it going to like make other people's lives better? Which is why I created the whole community. It wasn't enough for me to like learn about North Node. Okay, I know North Node, but then I want everybody to know about the North Node. Hence, why I created. So it's like I really feel like the true big thing, with this group is like, how are we as a community, and like how are we helping each other, and how are we learning and growing, and then let's have that trickle down into the rest of our lives, like focusing on community instead of just like each person for themselves, so I hope that's going to shift things for people.
Well, and when we start looking, which Pluto is our shadow work, it is the night, what is that called?
The night, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like the night of the dark soul. Like it's like that powerful moment, like almost like that rock bottom moment, and where things like can't get any worse. And it's like at that point, it's like the phoenix rises, and then you like start anew.
Right, which I did actually want to talk about. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, which Scorpio does have the 3 stages. I've never heard of it. But you've got the snake or the scorpion phase, which is basically living unconsciously, living a victim life. I'm a Scorpio rising, so I can understand. But it's either transforming or self-destructing. And the first phase is like the snake phase. It's the betrayal, it's the lies, the deceit, but as you start living your life more consciously and less in victimhood and more in the victorhood, victor. So you hit the eagle phase, which is, you're becoming more enlightened, more aware. And then the third phase would obviously be the phoenix. The ashes are extremely powerful healers. Their intensity, it's extremity, but sometimes you have to go through some of that stuff. I mean, you can't be a truly good healer without going through that yourself.
You have to be able to relate to others. You've had to have lived, those experiences to be able to truly help other people, or else, you're just not going to be seen as authentic. So I agree. So yeah, especially us water signs, like, going through tough things, like, these trials and tribulations, like that's part of what we signed up for in this life. Our soul chose this, is what I say. And so as a result, how do we help other people heal, with their challenges, and just know that, well, you could be a victim, or you could, look at the situation differently and reframe it. So I think it's true.
I am not any better than anyone else. I have days where I'm like, you know what? I want to be a victim today. And that's that. I'm a victim that day, and get over it and move on. But I'm so much more self-aware. Me, a better person for me. And when I can be a better person for me, so, and Pluto is empowerment. It's self-empowerment.
Right. And it's not living in the shame, right? So it's like you have the shadows, and I did a bunch of work on Pluto, and actually, like, I had a whole Facebook group on Pluto. I was very into Pluto last year, and we talked about that a lot, that we need to be able to, see the shadows and illuminate them so we could get to the light, and we could look at both of them together. And that was important. And people do need to do their shadow work. They do need to like deal with those uncomfortable topics, or things that are taboo, or things where we feel shame, so that way we can get past it and like live the better life. Because everybody has stuff. Everybody's got things that they don't feel good about, or they feel embarrassed about. But how do you utilize those and turn them into gifts? I also study gene keys, and it kind of makes me think about that too, because they also have this concept of the shadow, the gift, and the city. And like, you're supposed to start with whatever your gene key is, whatever it is for that particular sphere. And you have to, look at that shadow and like be able to like kind of conquer that shadow so you can move forward. And everybody has them, everybody has things that they want to keep hidden, that they don't want put out there, but then you can't really move forward, and then you're like living in such a reactive place. So yeah, I think things are definitely going to change. And I'm excited to see where things are going to go with people, especially there's been so much polarity and, so much back and forth, and, people upset about the election and people happy about the election, and all that. I'm like, we just all need to come together because we're all living together, and we have to, take care of this earth and do things we're supposed to do. So let's look at the different opportunities that things present and how we can make things better.
Right. Well, I was going to reveal all of that, all of it.
Right. It for sure does. Right. And I am excited that it's an Aquarius, because I feel like we need that rule breaking energy, because like sometimes like things have to change, right? Things have to change to get better. And yeah, I mean, Uranus energy is pretty erratic, right? It's unpredictable, it's unstable, and you don't know what to expect, but that's life. I mean, I don't know whose life is easy. I live in a state of chaos. Like for me, if a few days go normal, like I'm just waiting, so I'm just like, I know that things are going to change. And I have a big portion of that, like in my chart of like, so I don't have Scorpio exactly, but I feel like with some of my other placements, I am this person that's supposed to be transforming. And so I've just said, I'm going to surrender to that. And, I will embrace what comes. And I'm going to, keep learning my astrology and go deep with it and understand, okay, what are these oppositions on my chart? What are the squares, and what does that mean? And how not to look at it as, doom and gloom, but like,
how can
I've had a Pluto opposition to the sun. This will be like a third year, and that's not an easy energy to keep living, but I'm supposed to be doing that. So how do I make the best of that,
Right. Yeah. And then we've got, Saturn will be moving out of Pisces and into I believe it's fall sign, Aries, right?
You would know better than me. I haven't researched Saturn. I do love Saturn because of its karmic contracts and all that, and it connects much to the past. And I know all the planets, like I know everything is changing. So I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I know they're all shifting, and it's going to be different. I think it'll be really good for it to get out of Pisces. So,
that's one of the changes that will happen. I think
2026, because I know they're not all changing right away.
2020. I thought I had the.
I know some are 2025 and some are 2026. So I know like within the next year to year and a half, there's going to be some big shifts.
Yeah. Well, and with Saturn, we'll set new boundaries, and new boundaries is what comes to mind first, because it goes into Aries, and we need to know
to bring Aries in. Yeah.
So,
I mean, and Pisces is a totally different energy. Like Pisces like knows no boundaries, so it's like those butt heads, because Saturn wants all these rules and regulations and keep things in check, and Pisces wants to do and escape and transcend. So it's like, I think that's been a really hard energy. So maybe Saturn Aries might be better for us. We'll see.
Pisces is one of the hardest energies to integrate on Earth, because it's everything that's behind the veil. It's not Earth. It's all spiritual. It's all not connected to Earth. So, and it's the only sign that's water, immutable. So it flows and it changes.
That's true. That's true.
Well, Pisces, they change their mind frequently. They can be kind of spacey, but it's a hard energy to integrate on such a physical plane. So
that's true. But we need that, especially for the intuitives, because Pisces is such an intuitive sign. So it's like you need them to be able to connect to other timelines, right? And connect to the higher consciousness, and, sometimes escape the physical world, and get messages and see what can be done to make things better, as long as you don't go too far, right? That's the thing. So it's like it's like keeping things in balance, like the Libra balance, right? So it's like keeping things in check, keeping things balanced, so things don't get out of control. So y'all I love Aries energy. I'm also South Node Aries, so like it's like kind of like my go-to, which isn't always the best for me, but it's like that Aries energy just wants to trailblaze and go. and
Right.
do. I think, and we're in this Aquarius time, so I think those could work well together. But
Yeah.
then Saturn is going to put the reins on it, and kind of keep it in check. Like, did you actually, plan everything out? Do you know what's going on? Or are you just, flying with an idea without, making sure that it's going to work?
Yes.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that changes. But because right now it's hearing like the planets, like the signs are changing, right? Because we've been like living with the planets mostly in two signs, and then everything is going to flip. And I think because of that, people are worried that there could be like some kind of revolutions and things like that, just because of all of this like firepower. So I don't know. It's yet to be seen. I mean, I hope we can try to keep peace. But again, I mean, it's not up to like us individually, right? Because there's like so many, so many people, so many governments out there. And yeah, when, Pluto gets to a place where there could be some issues, then, sometimes they don't always make the best decisions.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of interesting things like on the horizon with all of these different planets. And currently we're in Mercury retrograde. So I figure it might be good to talk about that for a couple minutes because we're living that, and some people who are newer to it might get frustrated. We might get frustrated. We know it for a while, but like I thought we could also talk about that too, like from what you see, like what has been helpful for you during like these like 3 to 4 week periods when we're dealing with this Mercury retrograde. What have you like tried to be like proactive on in your life to deal with it?
Saving passwords, uh, computer stuff. I normally am okay during Mercury retrogrades. I mean, I know this one's a little bit different. We have the Gemini ruler in Sagittarius and the Sagittarius ruler in Gemini. So I think that's called mutual reception, maybe.
Yeah, and so that makes it, I hope that makes it in a sense, it's different, but I think it's interesting because maybe they can work together in that opposite energy. You're right, it's different, and it's also different because we just entered into Pluto in a new sign, which makes it different, right? And it's changing. I know for me, because I'm ruled by Mercury, I tend to get hit harder when it's Mercury retrograde. So I've had numerous tech issues already in these 2 days. I had that the last Mercury retrograde. It seems like every Mercury retrograde, things get worse and worse for me. So I don't know if it's just my own awareness or whatever's going on. And so I know that I need to like leave the house earlier because I know something could happen in traffic. I know also to like back up my passwords and be more careful. And sometimes posts go away. Sometimes things get deleted. And
Right.
so it's like things with tech and communication, and also contracts, like being careful. Like I have learned, don't, I mean, I have sent contracts during this time, but it's
Right.
like you just have to be really careful to like read
Read,
the fine print. Yeah,
read
because
again.
like the Wonka movie where like he didn't read everything and then realize the ramifications. So I've learned too for myself, like be careful, like don't make any really big decisions during the Mercury retrograde. Just wait, sleep on it, get like an extra eye on things.
My sister, I text her and say, "Hey, Mercury's in the microwave again." So that's a running joke, but yeah.
It is crazy, and it also like things get lost in translation with people too. So it's like I've learned to be super careful to like watch what I say, especially if it's like over text or email, because you don't know somebody's tone and what did this mean. So I think it's like a good time to like be clear and ask somebody, is this what you meant, or did you interpret this the right way? Because that miscommunication, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or a business communication, that could be problematic. And so some people tend to be edgy anyway with the retrograde. And then, comments come and like, well, what did that person mean? And what was that supposed to be? And then all of a sudden, people get angry. I saw it today in one of my other group. I have a women's group, and like somebody wrote some rude, I didn't even see the whole post, but somebody wrote a rude comment and wanted it removed and said that was too rude to be said. And I'm like, oh, this is something that got misinterpreted because I don't think it was really that. But it's just like that kind of a thing. So we just have to be careful, and just like, just ask, don't assume. I think when we assume, then we end up having issues.
Right. Reflect, redo, regroup,
all the re's, take a look, go backwards. Like also great time to journal, like take a look back at things, because it's like Mercury is all about our thoughts, our communication. It's everything's so cerebral. So it's like, what do we really believe? And Sagittarius season also makes us think about our beliefs too, like really hard. So it's like, what do we believe? And let's reflect. Like I think about all the time, like, what do I believe about my career? And what do I believe about romantic relationships? Do my views align with what I really want, and do my views make sense to like what I was thinking like 6 months ago during the eclipse, or are those views different? So yeah, I think it's a really good reflection period. And like, we should look at it as an opportunity, not like a crisis, where some people are like, oh my God, I can't do anything and I can't travel. And it's about, literally it's people are about to travel for Thanksgiving. Right. And this is going to be this whole like next few days, and that I can imagine there could be some issues, with transportation. So yeah, people just need to be more careful, more vigilant. That's all.
Mindful. Yeah.
Always tends to help.
Can't just put everything on hold to,
you have to live your life. You can't just stop life and be a hermit for 3 weeks. I agree. You have to live life. You just have to be more careful. Exactly. Mindful. I think that's good. Be mindful and present in the moment. And, just accept things for what they are. We're about to be hitting Scorpio moon, actually, like in an hour, right? Like, I think it was like at 7:30. So, and I thought that was super interesting. I don't remember what it was last year around Thanksgiving. I don't think I was paying attention to the moon cycles as much last year. I don't know, but I don't remember. But I do know that I thought it was interesting that we're going to have the Scorpio moon, which is like usually like, a very emotional moon. And we have that on a holiday where it brings up a lot of emotions, Right. So I thought like, ooh, that's going to really amp things up for people. I wonder how people are going to do, because all the stuff with family and Mercury retrograde as well. With this communication.
Be some really uncomfortable maybe not uncomfortable, but there might be conversations. People are starting questions about things, about bigger things. And Scorpio is conspiracy theories, so that could come up at dinner. Don't anything personally, but if somebody's disrespecting you, leave.
Yeah, because Scorpio loves those like authentic, real, deep conversations. Like, let's put it on the table. Let's be authentic and let's be loyal. And yeah, we just had the election and people are still upset. And you might have people at the dinner table that view things differently. So it's like, how can you be mindful and careful and focus, on the loving togetherness? Especially like, remember years ago, we had rules about who could sit and who could be together on Thanksgiving, and you couldn't be with too many people. And the government was trying to say that. So we had like Zoom Thanksgiving, so it's like, okay, well now we can all be together and let's enjoy that. And, let's be careful, let's be mindful. Yeah, we have this, intense Scorpio moon, and we have Mercury retrograde, and we're in the Sagittarius season where we're like, questioning beliefs and different things. So it's like all this stuff. And yeah. And
so celebration, optimism, expansion. So say what you need to say as long as it's from the heart. And if somebody's not ready to hear it, then be okay with that.
Right. Sometimes easier said than done. And I know, because, it's like people's like anger and emotions can flare up, especially, and being a water sign. I know you're double water. I'm a water sign. I'm 29th degree Cancer. So things, I could get amped up. So I have to keep myself in check, and I've gotten better. So I just have is it important? Do you make an issue, or do you just let it roll off and just let it be? So yeah, it's just being aware and just know that it could amp up your emotions. And it could, it could be just a struggle for people, different,
I feel like it's a really great time to, if we are getting triggered by something, to go within. Why am I triggered by this? What is my belief? Is it even is it true? Is it even mine? Because relationships are the perfect mirror for us. They can mirror that we love about ourselves and the dark stuff that we try and hide, that we don't like so much about ourselves. So
true.
We can use a little bit of that to go within, and just not be so Aries, not be so impulsive, and just go within and maybe look at some of the things that you don't even know where they came from.
I think that's good advice. I was actually just reading something today, and I know all about the mirror thing, and it was something in my gene keys, and it was talking about the mirror concept again, and like, being able to look at things because it was relating to shadows. And I think that's important because, right, we do get annoyed with things about different people because those are actually qualities about ourselves that we get annoyed with, and then we just see it reflected back to us, and then we need to, like, be honest, like, why do we not like this thing,
Right.
and then deal with it. So. All right, well, cool. I was thinking as we were talking, I wanted to pull a card because I do that sometimes, and I thought we could all kind of use a card. So I have my Journey to Enlightenment deck, which is my first tarot, and I was also, you and I were talking about like the archetypes, like in tarot, and how it connects to astrology, and I thought that was interesting. So I don't always tie it in as much, but there's, sometimes I think about like, oh, because I'm Cancer and it's the Chariot card, so sometimes like I'll think about it too with certain things that come up. So I wanted to do a card. I know you have some dice. I don't know if you want to roll the dice and see what comes up, and we can see what wisdom. I have the dice too, and I don't use it as much, and I really probably should use it more. So I'm glad you reminded me about that because I like to try to integrate it in. It makes it more fun. So yeah, I'm going to see what comes up here. And if you want to just, roll the dice, and I'm just going to see what card.
Is this for what do we do?
Okay, this card hit the ground, so let's see. All right, I like this. King of Wands. So, Wands is perfect energy for us right now because we're in fiery Sagittarius season. So I feel like I personally love Wands energy the most because I feel like we need to have a passion or drive for whatever we do, or why bother? Why do we get up in the morning? What are we excited about? What, yes, I understand we need pentacles to complete the things, but you have to have the passion first to do the thing you want to do, So I love Wands energy, and the King is like, I feel like external guidance. So, reaching out to somebody that can help you get your ideas maybe in check, like you want to do something in life, but you don't know how to get there. So who can help you with your passion? It doesn't have to be a male person. It could be, but just, somebody who you see as this logical, strategic, person who can help you. So as I'm seeing King of Wands. So maybe right now, if people are coming up with ideas and you're not quite sure where to go, and you're not sure, like, could my astrology chart help me? Could I use a reading? Do I need, Reiki, whatever it happens to be, then maybe it's a time to think about like, well, who do I know in my life who could be a mentor, who could help me on my path? So, and they could reach out to you. You could do, a chart reading for them, and share like what you see, is coming up, what are their transits telling them, what's key about their birth chart, and maybe just giving them a different perspective than they didn't realize. So
Okay.
you were rolling the dice. So what came up when you did the dice?
So I got Aries.
Okay.
And house. So Aries to me is saying self-empowerment. You own your power. So don't let anything outside of you take away that power. Mercury, our speech, sixth house is the sixth, is what I got, which is the house of Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's using your mental energy before being impulsive, using your self-empowerment and communicate clearly.
Right. Especially when we're in this like tougher period of this Mercury retrograde. Right. Think about what you're saying. Communication is so key. And right, that Virgo is that healing house, right? And it's like routines and structures and jobs and so many different things. And yeah, it also makes me think of like North Node and Aries, like that we're all experiencing for a little while longer. And so, are we being independent? Are we feeling empowered in whatever mission it is for ourselves? And really having that focus. And for some people, that's a little bit harder to live. For me, I have the opposite reality because I'm North Node Libra. But collectively, as I think about it too, I'm like, okay, well, are there areas in my life where I don't feel as empowered, where I'm not acting like I need to by my own self? I might feel comfortable in certain arenas, like, being in control and being the top dog and doing the thing. But what areas could I take a look at that in where I could do better and just forge my own path? So I think that's interesting because the North Node is so key. That's all about, what are you doing in this life? What's your sole purpose? And are you actually doing it? or are you ignoring it and just living in that comfortable south node? So
With
what's your north node?
my north node is 29 degrees Scorpio.
Okay. I mean, and you are Scorpio rising. I feel like that should make it easier, right? Because I feel like you lead with that Scorpio. So like it should be like intuitive, right? Like that's your mission, and you're really like living that Scorpio energy and
Yeah.
accepting that you have to keep transforming. 29th degree, it's going to hit you hard. You're going to feel it more than anybody else, but that's okay because you signed up for that, you know? So
My oldest is a Scorpio rising and Scorpio moon, so it hits her way harder.
and Scorpio moon is a tough one too, because that's Hades moon, and I have Hades moon with my Pluto moon, and so that's a whole nother thing. It's a whole nother level of intensity too. So I feel like Scorpio moon might feel tougher than Scorpio sun and rising. I don't know that for sure. I don't have it, but I just feel like because our moon is our emotions, right? And it's like that Scorpio, like it's just like something happens, and it just like feels like a deep cut to the heart when like have it.
It's merging with others. So if you have a parent that's not ready to merge with their child, which is kind of where I was at when I was younger, when I had my daughter, and it's if you're not ready to merge, then that can be really detrimental for a child.
And I think had you known astrology back, let's say what, 20
Yep.
some years ago, would have been a different experience. So I think now I try to take into account my kids' astrology because they're all different. And I know their signs, and it makes sense like why they're operating it the way that they're operating because, oh yeah, you're double Capricorn. I know why you need the structure and you're this, but oh, you're Aries and you act this way and you have the fourth house planets. And of course, family is important for you. So it's like, I feel like I try to think about the dynamic and how they act, and everything makes sense because I know their astrology. But I didn't know their astrology years ago. And I feel like had I known it, I could have been like a better parent because I would have understood them better and like maybe had more empathy in certain situations. But again, we can't move backwards, you know. We are where we are, but I think I listened to Deborah Silverman. That's how I kind of got started with astrology, and she talks about that all the time too. Like it's such a helpful tool to be able to understand your kids when you know their astrology and you know they're behaving a certain way and you understand their chart. So then you can act accordingly, and it makes your relationship so much better. So
with everything,
yeah,
self, you have a better everything. It all starts in
right. Well, and I'm looking at the time and I realize I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to talk 25, 30 minutes. And I just realized we talked a little bit more, but that's okay. But I did want to give you the opportunity to share how people can get a hold of you. So if somebody would like to learn more astrology, like get a chart reading with you, what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
I actually don't have anything set up yet because I'm still so new at this.
But you will soon. You will soon. So how about this? Like people can follow you on Facebook, right? That's what I've been following you on Facebook and seeing the things that you're talking about with astrology. So people could definitely connect with your main page, and then soon you will have other things.
Yes, it's just Jenny Jenny Hollingsworth HOLLIOR.
And you're in the North Node Journeyist community, so like people can reach out to you too, as you have questions. So awesome, cool. Well, I'm really glad we got a chance to talk about all these topics and get to learn more about you. And I appreciate you, being helpful and supporting our community. And I've been sharing your posts too. You do a nice job like writing everything and really presenting it. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm excited to see like what's more to come as you get deeper in astrology and, doing readings and all that. So that'll be great. So I'm going to wish you and everybody a happy Thanksgiving and hopefully a calm period because we have Scorpio moon and then we have new moon coming up and whatever else is in store, right? And then Mars retrograde next week. So there's like a lot of different things. With astrology, there's always things changing. So yeah, Mars retrograde will be definitely interesting to talk about too, because that's going to impact us as well. And that's going to get some anger flying. So that'll be interesting. All right. Well, thanks again, Jenny. I enjoyed our conversation. Have a good Thanksgiving and have a good night. And everybody have a great Wisdom Wednesday.